Hello and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. My goodness, do we have an outstanding show for you today? Some hot button topics that we're going to spend the next 2+ hours hanging out with my brothers here. We have an amazing guest, one of the best voices in the business. We also are going to be talking about that Spider-Man console, the trailer that was dropped at Comic-Con for Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5. We're going to be talking about Lena Khan bending the knee once again. I mean, already she was embarrassed on a world stage, and now we know that thanks to Microsoft pushing the envelope, they have withdrawn their August 2nd case. We have a Tom Warren story that we're going to get into. And of course, folks, once this deal is signed in a couple of weeks, because I believe it's going to be 2 weeks, the deal will be officially done here, there, and everywhere. Microsoft will have become officially once again gaming's very own shooter box with some of the best franchises that are considered first party: Halo, Gears, Doom, Fallout, and now Call of Duty. And I mean, we're going to have a bunch of other ones that people are like, hey, boom, don't forget about this. We're going to get into that. But real quick, I want to say a big thank you to the community. Yesterday, I had a really, really serious thing happen. Not health related, but it was a bit of an emergency. I could not do the show. Had nothing to do with Mrs. Boom. Had to do with something else that I can't get too particularly into. But everything has been squared away. It took me all day to quash what needed to be done. But thankfully, everything worked out. And I hate missing shows, especially when I have guests. But listen, I appreciate all of the community reaching out and sending their well wishes. And it was amazing. It's fantastic. So a big thank you for everyone that reached out to me, not only on social media, but of course through private messages. But folks, we got to get into these topics. But before we do, Silent Cypher, welcome back to the chair, my brother. How you feeling?
Boom, thank you so much for having me back, man. I'm doing great. Just started the weekend, so I've got that weekend vibe going. I'm looking forward
I
to
love
playing
it.
some video games this weekend. It's gonna be a good time, but I'm super stoked to be here with you guys today, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm playing some Ant Arcade, which is of
Mm,
course that new arcade DLC. Well, it has 1,300 games. It is Luke Lore, a good friend of this program, great friend of the community, did an interview with the owner who put that together. And folks, it is amazing. It's $30 a year for you. You can pay the subscription, or you can buy the lifetime, which is what I did. It was $80, and it's 1,300 games, and they're consistently putting games into it. It is probably the best representation of game preservation that I have personally ever seen. I played a game that I haven't played since the Nathan's Arcade. I believe it was by Taddeo, Operation Wolf, a shooter. I played it this morning, and the hearing it brought me back to when you were walking around the arcades. I mean, first of all, this is for some OG talk right here. If you're under 25, you're not going to have a freaking clue what I'm talking about. So please bear with the old men as we reminisce on this for a hot second. Um, the sounds of these games are incredibly important because, at least when I used to walk around the arcade when I was a kid, they were very loud. You'd walk into this arcade and everything was like, it was like amusement park, right? Everything is super loud, and there would be certain games that you'd hear while you were walking around, and you'd look. And Operation Wolf was one of those games because of the shooting mechanics. Back in the days, you actually used a gun, but this, you just use a controller, and it just brought such a smile to my face. I'm playing some old SNK stuff. It is just, I will say, just check it out. It is absolutely well worth your money, especially if you are someone that likes OG games. I mean, there's just so many to choose from. They have different categories. There's shooters, there's side-scrolling fighters, there's platformers. It's bonkers. I'm loving it. But well, I'm glad to have you here. Web Dave, what's going on? You got a Spider-Man shirt on. Look at you,
I
man.
do.
Ready for
I
the
do.
topic? How you
Showing
feeling tonight, sir?
solidarity. That's it. Anyway, we'll get into
Well,
that.
we
Love
we
that.
know where you, but I can't wait for you to get into it.
What? People are gonna be hating me, but that's okay.
No one's gonna be hating. Listen. It's great to have different opinions, brother. Welcome.
There you go. Well, welcome, man. Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to be here. You're already getting super chats coming in. This is a fantastic day. Let's go.
Yeah, well, the super chats are always great, but we're happy to have the people here. We have almost
Heck yeah.
300 people here, Dave, and we're only 6 minutes in. That says to me that we might break some records today. People are ready to do that, walk that walk and talk that video game talk. And speaking of talk that talk, Crispy Bomb, welcome back, brother. Hopefully you are ready to rock and roll. I know you're going to have a lot to say about the shooter box returning and Gears of War being a part of that conversation. How you feeling?
Yeah. After hitting 2,000 levels, that's 20
I saw
re-ups.
that. And so you got the achievement for that. Good for you, man.
Yeah. That's why you don't see many achievements on my end. And people will be like, "Oh, you have like no, you're not a gamer." I'm like, dude, go look at the stats, bro. Go look at the stats. Trust me, Mortal Kombat is way up there as well. So I'm waiting to get some kind of crazy achievement for that to like less than 1% get so it's definitely I just sat there, I was like, oh wow, because like you really like the symbols, I don't know, you kind of don't know, you're just like whatever, like because all it says is your level, and then all of a sudden bang, I hit that and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should put this down now. I don't know. I think I'm like, I think I need to go to another game now. I think I did something, and now it's like, let me just chill out a little bit. But it's great to be here, and yeah, we got some crazy topics to talk about. Should be fun.
Yeah, and again, that's what it is, folks. We're here to have fun. We're here to talk about video games. We're here to have some slander and some conversations about that. I had an amazing game, as you can see. I'm murking dudes left, right, and center. This was a really good match. And again, I know everyone has had this. There are days that I'm so on that I'm like, I don't feel like a 52-year-old bastard. But there are other days where I don't know who I'm playing against. Maybe they are, tournament Halo players, and I go like 3-15, and I kind of say, I think I should quit while I am ahead. But listen, we're gonna have some fun talk here today. Hey, Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys, man. Just so many good things happening as far as the news. Looking forward to Gamescom and possibly a big announcement there. But
well, I mean,
man,
there's a couple of caveats with that. I'm glad you brought that up, Fuzzy, because Phil Spencer and team are flying out to Gamescom, which is very significant. It has already been confirmed by Xbox brass that it is going to be their biggest Gamescom presentation ever, and that's. I mean, if that doesn't, again, I'd rather have a half full glass than a half empty one. So I'm thinking that we're going to get a new reveal. I don't know what that new reveal is. You also have QuakeCon around the corner.
Yeah.
I would imagine that we could potentially get a first look at the Quake reboot. I mean, it's QuakeCon, so why the H not? But we got some really interesting topics to get into, man.
Oh yeah. Can't wait to dive into those. Everybody in the chat, if you're enjoying the content so far, definitely hit that like button. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, and you know what? Before we get into the actual first topic, let me just catch up on the 3 super chats that have popped in here. First of all, the first one of the day comes from Double X Wolverine, Double X, generous friend of the show. He drops, ladies and gentlemen, $5 super chat, says, morning, everyone. Hope all is well. Tony Todd as Venom. Let me tell you something. My wife and I are big fans of him, obviously through Candyman. He's a great actor. He's been in so many different films. And when I saw him, when they were interviewing him about him doing the voice for Venom, the guy is up there. He's up there in age, and you can tell his personal excitement about being a part of that being a part of something so special as Spider-Man 2 is expected to be. I think they couldn't have picked a better voice actor. That guy has such a unique, deep voice that is just crazy. Drawn TJ drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hey, hi everyone. Hey, Boom. Hope everything went okay with what you were dealing with." Yes, thankfully, everything worked out in the end. It was a 6-hour affair of just nonsense, but at the end of the day, it got all taken care of. So thank you so much for the well wishes. Gerald Mack, brother Gerald Mack, best gray beard in the business. How you feeling, brother? Happy Friday. He drops very generous $5 super chat and says, just dropping support for the hardest working man in content creation, gray beards, we them boys, Xbox World Order hashtag. Yeah, listen, folks, I am telling you, if there is, and I talked about it on Wednesday night, we opened up primetime gaming with the shenanigans, if you will, that is Call of Duty. Folks, people are not even waiting for Call of Duty to be dropped into. They're spending, and again, the games are $10. Most of them are $10. One, Black Ops 1, I think, and 2 were 15. Not a bad thing, but the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of players playing these old Xbox 360 games. And honestly, I mean, let's call it like we see it. Some of the best Call of Duty games ever made in that era, and Xbox had the marketing for those. It is going to really, it's going to be something special when the deal is finally signed and Call of Duty and most, and if not all of what's available is going to be dropped into Xbox Game Pass. There's going to be such a plethora of games. And I hope, again, that this deal, we get a chance to see some of these teams who have been in the salt mines of Call of Duty for years get a chance to take on new projects that they have up their sleeves. Toys for Bob, of course. You know, if you don't want to give them Banjo right away, I mean, they could do a kart racer. They've done Crash. They just have to do one with Xbox characters. I've been begging for that. And Jez Cord made mention of it. I think he was teasing me. I think he publicly teased me without actually saying he didn't at me, but he mentioned it, and my eyes got like anime eyes. When you say, I mean, it's just right there. It's just right there. Make the game, damn it. Dean Rivera drops a very generous $5 super chat. Dean, good morning, sir, and thank you for the generosity. He says, I want the Spider-Man faceplates and controller. We're going to get into that right now. Gonna have the website pulled up on the 28th, but I have a feeling they're gonna get scalped fast. You know what? I don't know, dude. You know what I will tell you, and I give the guy such credit. I know there's a lot of people that post links on Twitter, but the one that consistently drops bombs is Wario64. Like, that dude is top tier. He's diamond tier when it comes to that. If you're not subscribed to him on Twitter, hit the bell icon for that dude, because on the 28th he will be dropping links left, right, and center. And every time I needed a special edition console, I got it through one of the links that he put out there. So that's why I'm always happy to say, please go and follow on Twitter Wario64. Or just look him up. If you can't find him, just look up Wario64. He has thousands of people that follow him, and for good reason. But, folks, let's get into what Dean Rivera just brought up. The Spider-Man 2 Special Edition console, I think it looks dope. Now, I know there's been some pushback in the community about it. They could have done better. Sure, anyone could do better, right? With different set of eyes on it. When I saw it, I'm like, well, I may have to cop this console for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be worth a lot of money, and two, I don't mind buying special edition consoles. I would have bought a Starfield, and I'm going to bring some Xbox smoke in a hot second with the help of Silent Cypher, because I got some things to say about why there isn't a Starfield special edition console. I think it's a miss, but we'll get to that in a second. And thanks to so many people in this amazing community, like, no, Boom, take it easy. you can buy the plates. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? So you can buy the plates, you can buy the controller. I'm gonna buy the game. I'm buying the digital deluxe edition. I almost jumped on the collector's edition, but I'm not a fan of that statue. And it's not really a statue. It's like PCV or PVC, whatever it is. And I was like, yeah, that's not the greatest of designs. I'm not dropping $300. So I'm gonna get the digital deluxe edition so I can get all the suits, and Sony's gonna get my money. But the fact that you can buy the plates, that's a W. That's a giant W for Sony, because everyone is going to want to do that. Well, at least I'm going to want to do that. Okay, so I want to bring Web Dave up first. Dave, you kind of pushed back a little bit because, as a fan, a Spider-Man fan, a big one, because you're wearing a shirt, you don't think it's that great of a design, and there is a design going around that Pope Art did. And I got to be honest with you, Pope, I own 3 of his controllers, so I'm a fan of his, and I like the work that he does. He made a Spider-Man Venom PS5 controller that's making the rounds, and I got to be honest with you, it's better than Sony's, but I'm still buying that special edition PS5 controller. Dave, what? Okay, so you saw the trailer. I was incredibly impressed. I'm like, okay, Venom looks dope. They did it right. Sounds great. Tony Todd doing the voice. You're not as impressed. Explain why, sir. Oh, did he have to walk away for a second? Maybe he did.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said he'll be right back. All right. So you know what? I apologize. I didn't see the message he just put in here, so I don't want to drop it on Dave like that. Silent Cypher, let's go to you, because we can talk about the Spider-Man Special Edition controller, the console, the trailer, and then on the back end, we're gonna talk about why this is Sony doing what Sony does best, and kind of Microsoft missing the mark a little bit, not having, at least in a limited run, a Starfield special edition console. Because I don't know about anyone else here. Raise your hand, folks, in the chat. If I would have seen a white Series X with those stripes and the constellation, graphic in the corner that, would be replaced by the Xbox white light, take my money, charge me more. It's fine. I will gladly give you my money. I think it's a terrible miss. Even if they did it limited, if there was a limited run of 100,000 of them, and they're all labeled, they're all numbered. You only want to make 100,000 because you get your stock, whatever it is fine. But let's talk about it, Cypher.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm of two minds of it, but definitely I feel like it's a missed opportunity ultimately, right?
Indeed.
It's like, yes, I understand that obviously, like they've started to ramp up their availability of units again on the Xbox Series X side. So maybe it's not one of those type of things where they want to chance splitting the resources a few different ways. Potentially they're trying to ramp up and make sure they're really well stocked once Starfield comes out, or kind of, as you mentioned on the back end, is like Black Friday. If you've got those consoles out there, it's going to be a good time to have those consoles available for people to buy. But it's frustrating because, like, I look at what Sony did with this, and you can go either way. Like, obviously Web Dave and myself, like, we weren't necessarily as impressed with maybe how much detail they put into the special edition of Spider-Man, but I have to give them props. They did a special edition for Spider-Man. They gave that out there to people who are fans and who are interested. And hats off to them, the fact that they actually made the plates available separate. I think that was a very smart idea, because not everyone wants to buy multiple consoles of the exact same ecosystem over and over again. But I feel like, again, getting back to that missed opportunity scenario is, they keep advertising this and we keep hearing it, that Starfield's going to be one of these games where it's like a generational game. And the controller's great, the headset's great, but you know what would look way cooler is if you had those right next to a nice Series X console that was custom for it as well. So it feels like a missed opportunity. I wish that they would have done it. I would have been more than willing to put my money down, grab one, and have it. I think it would look really cool in the entertainment center.
Yeah, well, look, and again, here's what me and Cypher were talking. Well, actually, everyone was talking, we'll get everyone's opinion. We'll continue this conversation with the rest of the panel in a second. You see, obviously, we know that there was a console building situation for Xbox, why there wasn't so many available. Now, put on your tinfoil hat for a hot second. Do I believe that? I do not. I do not believe that. I believe that there are some behind the scenes things happening that I am not privy to because I don't work for Xbox. If I'm looking at it with a detective eye, I think that I'm not saying they held back for regulators. I'm saying that they are politely stocking and getting ready for a Starfield event, a Forza event, a Call of Duty event, potentially if it goes into Game Pass, like I think it's going to go. So I think that they're preparing for the fall. I will say the way Sony is doing it is probably the smartest play possible, and that is they're not putting it into stores. This has to be purchased from PlayStation Direct. So what that allows Sony to do is have control on how many of these consoles they need to make before they ship, right? So and again, we knew Starfield was getting a delay like last year, right? We knew that was going to happen. They had time. And the way that Microsoft could have done this is buy directly from Microsoft. Buy directly from the Microsoft store, make a certain subset of limited edition consoles. Like I said, I don't know what the number could be. 50,000, 100,000, a million. I don't know, but I know that to make these consoles white and to add like the stripe that we know is Starfield and do some graphics on there, it's just look. I'm not saying that it puts Microsoft in a bad light. I agree with Silent Cypher. Your console is going to play just fine, but it would look pretty dope in your entertainment center, the white console with these beautiful stripes and some Constellation logo stuff, and of course, to go with this beautiful package that doesn't exist, you have your a headset, which I have. You have your controller, which I have right here, and you have your gorgeous special edition. So I mean, they didn't drop the ball. They fumbled it and went out of bounds. Okay, no big deal. We did get some Starfield branded things, which is dope. But I just wish there was a console because they would have gotten my $500 without even thinking twice. Crispy Bomb. Let's get your take on this. Listen, the mileage may vary for what people think of the Spider-Man console. I think it's dope, but like I told you guys in privately, I am looking at it from being a stan for Marvel, and Spider-Man and the Symbionite saga for me is a very personal thing because when 252, which is the first appearance of the Symbionite costume that he got from Secret Wars, the first Secret Wars in the 80s, was a time where my dad and I collected comics together. And that's, so there's a lot of like emotional, personal things with the Symbionite saga, but I think it's what Sony does best. It's their only big game for the entire 2023 campaign. It is going to be a big game, Crispy. I like what they did. I like it even more that they're offering the plates. I think that is effing brilliant by Sony, and the controller being sold separately allows people like me who own a PlayStation 5, and I'm proudly own it. I don't have to buy another console. I just have to buy the plates, whatever they are, 40, 50 bucks, 60 bucks, whatever. And I can get the controller, and I have there's my special edition console. What are your takes on this, man?
Well, to be honest with you, the plates is great for an option. There's only one problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is going to devalue the collector's edition, because then
that's true, dude. That's true.
Then you have all of these plates out there, and people are gonna be like, well, I mean, it's I'll pay the same price, but I'm not gonna pay more. So some of these people that actually collect these consoles to potentially sell them down the road, now you have all like as many plates as they could possibly make, probably, that are all out there. So now your console's like, well, man, like people be like, I'll just buy the plate. I don't need the collectors, like, So, it's, hey, I like the option, and then it's like also, I do collect things. I'm like, it kind of sucks for those people that are like that. I'm hoping maybe there's like some like nuance there, because like the way it's presented, I don't know. It doesn't feel spectacular. And I'm hoping like somebody gets it in their hands and like there's some kind of translucent paint that like, the symbiote goes farther over the red, and then, it goes back, and almost like that battle that we've seen time and again, if you like it. That's probably like my favorite part of Spiderman as well. It was more like depicted in cartoons for me back, when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So it was like a big part of it. Like it was literally like a few seasons of the Spider-Man TV show. Like they went through this battle of, good and evil in his head. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, like maybe like there's a little something there. I'm hoping, where it's like it kind of moves a little bit. That would be pretty cool.
Slight variation or something.
Yeah. And and just the Starfield thing, I don't know. I mean, having a Series X that's white and that big, I mean, in my, where mine is, it's kind of going to be an eyesore. It's like, hey, there's that. Like, I don't know. I think that might be part of the reason why they didn't do one, because they're like, well, we would have to do it white, and in realism, like, just picture it. And some people, it's like, it's there. Like a lot of people say that about the PS5. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they probably were just like, we don't want to like look like we're PlayStation here, having this big thing all in white. Like, hey, it's right here. Here you go. Like, so maybe that's part of the reason. I mean, I do think it's a miss. I mean, you could have at least done 50, 100,000 and, gave people that option. But I mean, all in all, I, got to give Sony some props for doing this, but it is their one big game of the year. So, I mean, kind of reading through the tea leaves, you kind of expected it. But
yeah, sure. I would say so.
I mean, in the end, it's a little bit of a miss for Xbox as well. So hopefully we're going to get something, soon, as far as console. But I mean, now they're flying off the shelves because of Call of Duty. So we'll see what happens, but yeah,
it's funny you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Amazon had it got into the top 10 of Amazon. It jumped up 84% to Series X in sales. And you know what? I think you're onto something. I think Call of Duty, those backwards compatible, compatible games that are playable, especially with the servers being turned on. And understand this, there's a misunderstanding with some folks. Activision didn't do that. Microsoft turned on those servers. So just so you want to give credit where credit is due, it was Microsoft that pushed the envelope to get those servers turned back on all of these old games, anticipating them being dropped into the service. Just, friendly, public service message.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, listen, Dave, you're back. Don't sweat it about work, because obviously work is more important than the silly podcast.
Oh no!
I want to get your different take than what me and Cypher and Crispy. What are your thoughts on
It's Spider-Man on. What do you mean?
Well, you're a Spider-Man fan.
Oh,
You just may
yeah.
not be the biggest fan of what Sony did. And you know what? That is awesome because you're not alone. There are a lot of people that are like, yeah, it's an okay design. First of all, what are your hot takes on the design? And are you in the same mindset as us where you kind of feel Microsoft might have missed the memo on getting a special edition Starfield console? Because we have a controller, we have a headset, we have a gorgeous collector's edition. It just seems like a missed opportunity. What are your thoughts, man?
I do agree. We'll step back to the Starfield to Xbox first. I do agree that it seemed like a missed opportunity, and no, not it seems like it was. It definitely would have been fantastic for you talked about a nice white, and we've seen people that have done this on their own and posted them online. Some amazing looking art that they have done for a white Series X, and that would have been great. Would have loved to have seen something like that purchased. I'm sure the reason is that they wanted to flood the market coming up in the holiday season with as many of the regular consoles as they can get, because it's going to be the big Christmas for Xbox, guaranteed. I mean, but at least we got controller, we got headset, maybe a few other things in the works. I believe they talked about some more things in the Xbox store as far as like some shirts and things like that that'll be coming out closer to launch. But like you said, it's definitely a miss. But I mean, I'm sure there's a reason behind it. I think if they'd had the resources to do it, I think they really would have wanted to, because we know that they put out this amazing Halo Xbox, which I didn't get. Beautiful system, but it is what it is, is what they say. Now, as far as the Spider-Man thing goes, I'm just not as excited, and I do agree with Crispy wholeheartedly that it kind of diminishes the I guess exclusivity type thing of buying a system. I already have a system. I've already bought faceplates. I bought the purple faceplates and the purple controller. I love it because I like purple. So, and all matched up and good to go. Plus, I have my original white faceplates. I took them to a professional airbrusher. I've got those custom airbrushed.
Nice, dude.
Really cool. But I keep those in the box. I don't even put those out. But my point is that it's all right. I'll say it. The game itself, it looks good, and I'm excited for it, and I think it's going to be fun to play. I'm not going to spend any money on it. Maybe someday when it's half price or something like that, or on sale, I might pick it up then. I love Spider-Man, but these games are a lot of cutscene, hit a button, cutscene, hit an X button. To me, it's not a lot of, the gameplay factor is not really much there to it. I'm sorry. I know people.
Listen, dude, you don't have to be
what?
sorry. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel, brother. Nothing wrong with that.
So to me, I think of the Spider-Man 2 as more of maybe a souped up expansion pack. And I know people don't like that. Sorry, but like I said, I'm not going to buy it. And I'm not like being a total Xbox. I have a PlayStation. I love playing it. I'd rather have a Ghost of Tsushima any day over Spider-Man game. But I understand where people are coming from. I love Spider-Man, but it's just the games are okay. So, but that's just, there were some Activision games that were made that were Spider-Man related that I thought were a lot better than the current new Spider-Man that they have now. But again, my opinion, everybody hate on me. That's fine. But no,
it just so happens that Beanox is the one that did that, and I don't know. They're going to be Xbox first party, so they have they could get their hands on maybe an IP because they're in bed with Marvel, which we know is a thing. I don't know, man. I like what you're putting down.
I just, and I don't want me to be Debbie Downer. I mean, yes, it's cool, but if anybody had to get it, at least get the plates and get the controller by themselves. Don't spend the money on a whole new system if you already have one. If you don't have one, then try and get it.
I agree.
But it's just, and I tell you, there's a Pope art design which I showed you earlier.
Yeah,
that he did in like 2 hours, and it's 10 times better than what Sony actually is releasing as far as artwork goes for the controller. It looks amazing. Theirs looks okay. So, my opinion, there you go. Haters gonna hate. Boom.
No, I mean, listen, this is a conversational podcast. This is what we love about it. Not everyone. We don't have yes men on this panel. We have people that have opinions, and we love hearing those opinions. So,
And then we have Dave. That's a pain in the ass.
oh, stop it, stop it, Dave. Let's before we bring in Fuzzy, let me catch up on the super. First of all, Eternal Shaddai, who last week dropped a just ridiculous amount of new subs for the channel. So a big shout out to him. He's become a channel member himself. Thank you so much for the generosity, brother. We truly appreciate it here. We have let's see, Chris Blackburn, all the way from the other side of the pond. Chris, welcome, brother. He drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, I love your content, Boom. First ever super chat. Brother, thank you so much for the generosity. And welcome, brother. Come into this hug over here. Welcome. He says, missed Series 1 era, back for Series X and Game Pass. Gaming is so much fun and accessible in just that time frame. Yeah, and you know what? Welcome back, brother, because I think that when you look at what Microsoft is doing for the hey, you want to play your game, play any way you want. I don't think it's a hashtag or a catchphrase. They really do mean that, and they're doing some God tier work when it comes to accessibility and allowing you to, as the consumer, to be able to play your game wherever, whenever, however. And I think it's brilliant. I really think that it is absolutely brilliant. But welcome back, brother, and thank you for the generosity, Chris. We have Acute Perspective, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, you should also mention Doom as Xbox for... Trust me, Doom Guy is there. Fallout is there. We're going to get to it. That's the shooter box is back. And Microsoft owns almost all of the best shooter IPs. Like, it's crazy. We're going to get there, brother. Drawn TJ drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat. And he says, Silent Cypher sounds like Crispy Bomb. LOL. That's great.
Dude,
I love it.
He's been harboring that one for a long time. Like, I think every time that I hang out with Drawn, he's like, dude, you sound just like Crispy.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, apparently we both have very deep, gravelly, filmic voices.
Filmic, I love it. Yeah, look at you pulling out a Jez Gordon. I love it. Double X Wolverine Double X drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, would have liked an elite controller for Starfield. You know, I didn't even think about that. Somebody hire this person. I don't know if you're a man or woman, so I don't want to say hire this man because that'd be sexist. Hire this person in marketing, because I don't know about that. How many people, raise your hand, folks, have the Halo Master Chief Control Elite? I got it. I use it every day. Those short trigger pulls, fantastic. That would have been pretty dope. I mean, I like what they did with the controller. I think outside of like the Titanfall and the Sea of Thieves, the Starfield controller is probably one of my favorite. And I have like, I want to say about 20, at least 20 controllers. I probably have 10 more than that, but I want to just say I have at least 20. I like controllers. I'm sorry. I only have two hands, I know, but you know, I like controllers. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I like the idea of the plates for Spider-Man 2, but wouldn't just selling the customized system only be more in line with the PlayStation's goal for selling systems? You know, that's a brilliant idea. I don't know. That is, I mean, unless they're having trouble also getting consoles out, and they only, because you got to remember, we don't know how many of these consoles, these Spider-Man 2 consoles, are available. We do know that the only place you can buy them is from the PlayStation Direct Store. So that what that is indicative in my thoughts is that yes, it is limited, and yes, they're going to have only. I mean, I wouldn't even know what the number is. How many of these do you make? Do you make 50,000? Do you make 100,000? Do you make 500,000? Do you make 1 million? Figuring that people are going to be like, oh my god, I got to get Spider-Man 2. Potentially. But it's only one place to buy it. And I think that if and we would say, again, we were talking about this before, Fuzzy, if Microsoft had constraints in regards to how many of a special edition white console as opposed to a an Onyx Black Series X that they could make, they could limit where you can buy this, and that also protects them from oversaturation. Like, it's not going to sit on a shelf at Target or at Amazon or at Best Buy. You can only buy it from the Microsoft store, and here's the queue, get in line, and when it's your turn, we're going to charge your card to lock in the system, and that's it. Let's get your take on that, as well as the new design for the PlayStation 5 Special Edition Spider-Man console.
Yeah, I originally thought that they would do like a Series S at least as a Starfield special edition.
Well, it's
And
white already, so
yeah,
there you go.
just change the vent grill to like the I was about to say coalition, I forget what they call it, but the unit
Constellation.
for
The Constellation. Yes.
change that to like the Constellation badge or logo or something like that for that grill, and there you go. I would have thought that would have been an easy one to do, or basically have it where it has the painted stripes type of deal, similar to what we see on the controller. But missed opportunity. I still think they need to do things like this in design labs, because if you're going to have problems with supply, and you don't know, if you don't want to run the risk of making too many of a certain special edition console, just do a $50 upcharge in design labs, and it's like, okay, you're locked in, you'll get it in 6 to 8 weeks kind of thing. So that way they don't have to go through the whole assembly process. They can have the shells kind of waiting in or have them somewhat in wait, or have it where it's like a made to order kind of thing, and just have some pre-made ones done. But I think that's something that they probably should have considered after the initial delay for Starfield. At that point, it should have been like, okay, we kind of missed the timing with the Halo launch and everything, but they got the console out. I think pretty much they released it like a month or so before the launch of like the beta or like the multiplayer test. But it's something that they definitely should have considered. But outside of that, having the controller and the headset, good. Would have been great if they also offered like that pattern on an Elite controller. Once again, design labs. I would have probably ordered that, because I've made it a habit now, until they do an Elite Series 3. I'm not ordering a regular controller, no matter how cool the design is. I think Forza Horizon 5 was like the last one.
Oh, I forgot about that. One's one of my favorite as well. Yeah, that one's dope. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think they'll probably do something for Forza Motorsport coming up, but I'm holding tight for an Elite one. Although there was a leak for Forza 1, but they showed an Elite, but I don't think it's going to be an Elite. But we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, I think an Elite Starfield controller should have been done, and at least a Series S shell should have been done, so that way you could order it in design labs. Now, on to Sony with the the plates. I mean, we talked about this when they first came out, and talked about the plates, and then the aftermarket ones came out, and then they tried to sue the aftermarket people like D-Brand and stuff like that. So it's great on them that they're doing this, but yeah, it kind of fits their old MO. It's like, no, you want this special one? Yeah, you got to buy the whole system. But I'm glad they're not, really trying to bend their customers over at that point. Will I pick up the plates? I might. Like right now, I have Miles Morales mask in front of my PS5 with the black plates on it and stuff like that.
Oh, that's dope, dude. I love that. That's amazing. So you have it standing up, I would imagine.
Yeah, which I know,
dude,
the liquid metal. They're like,
dope.
I'm like, if Sony, if that thing goes, then that's the last PS console I ever buy. So they better make right if it starts being like a Red Ring of Death situation. But yeah, but the plates is an awesome idea. Yeah, it's going to hurt the value of the collectors. The only thing that'll make the collectors one valuable is the box that it came in, type of thing. And then at that point, do you leave it in the box sealed, or do you actually put it out for display, type of thing? So it hurts the collectability, but I think it would have been a big uproar if they just said, yeah, you have to buy a new system when they
Yeah.
have the plates as an option.
Yep.
So at least PlayStation learned from Xbox 360 with the plates deal. So it's good on them for having that as an option, and the fact that you can get the controller separate is another good one as well. I mean, Microsoft has been doing that with the controllers as far as for a while now. So it's good that Sony's learning from them in that regard with special controllers too. But yeah, it's one of those things where, of course, they would make that as a special edition. The God of War one, they're going to make as a special edition. I'll probably wait until there's a Ghost of Tsushima 2 or something else that might catch my eye. I don't know if, but then again, I since what is it? Not Matter. Marathon is going to be a multi-plat. No real need in getting a PS5 console for that or plates for that. But yeah, good on Sony. Offer plates. Xbox, maybe the refresh, if they do a refresh for the Series X and S, maybe they have a faceplate type of thing. Although that would probably anger some of the community, because then they'd be like, "Oh, I got a trade in mind, and I'm only going to get 200 for it to put towards the new one, so I can change out the faceplates and stuff." But yeah, always good to market your new game and have consoles that match the game and make that extra money and sell extra copies and stuff. But man, really wanted a Starfield Elite controller, and well, I'll think about the plates, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, you know what? We were saying this in the private chat, and again, I don't know if Microsoft would do this. I definitely think it's a way out of a situation where they don't want to do it. And to be honest with you, I have not heard a better way of doing it than the way that Fuzzy just said. Consoles, especially specifically special edition consoles, the way that you handle it is no better than the way they do Design Labs, because as someone that has ordered from Design Labs five or six times already, right? You make your design, you pay for it, they take your money, and they say, hey, listen, it's going to take up to 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it is, and you get your custom design, you design it, delivered to your door. I think they should do that with consoles. Charge $50 more for the design. Add the matching controller. Charge us $50 more. It's fine, right? And whatever the shipping is going to be. And that's how you handle it. And I think that's brilliant. I think that's an absolutely brilliant way, especially because they have a very successful custom way of making controllers for both regular controllers as well as elite controllers. I think it's brilliant. I really do. And I don't know why the people that are making monster six-figure salaries don't drum this up themselves. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not sure, but brilliant ideas from everybody around. I mean, if they could have even teamed up with someone that makes these latex skins, or that you can these console wraps that you see available. Some people have Mass Effect on their console. Some people have Doom on their console. Some people have Senua. You could have teamed up with someone that's reputable and like, hey, listen, make a bunch of Starfield ones and sell them for like $30. Mm-hmm. And you can just, you get it. You wrap your system and there's your custom console. I don't know. There again, not taking away from the fact that we have an amazing custom controller, a custom headset, a banging collector's edition with an awesome watch, which I will probably use in real life. I just think, like everyone else, the not having a special edition console for Starfield is a miss. It's not disastrous. It's just a miss, and I really like what Sony's doing, and I think that it is very unlike Sony to allow for the plates to be bought separately without making you buy another console so they can add another check mark to their we've sold 70,000 million times consoles, whatever. So good on them for allowing the controller to be sold separately as well as the plates. I think that's a very consumer forward facing move from Sony that you don't normally see. So I'm happy to see it. And maybe, folks, and again, you don't know, maybe we see next year they release a special edition console for Starfield when they have time. I don't know. We will see. But let's move on, folks, to what happened yesterday. And I want to bring up a tweet from our very good friend Tom Warren of The Verge. He posted this yesterday regarding some ABK news, specifically here in the United States, as we wait for the CMA and Microsoft to get their shit together and get that deal done so they can just get it and signed across the world. He posted this, folks. The FTC, led by Lena Khan, obviously, has withdrawn its administrative case seeking to block Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition that was due to start. This trial was due to start on August 2nd, and it has now been withdrawn from the administrative judge. And according to Tom, he says this is purely procedural, as Microsoft has forced it to happen. The FTC could file this case again if they choose. And folks, look, here's the thing. They're not going to file this case again because they got a losing hand. Lena Khan, chairperson of the FTC, who has now lost her fourth merger case in a row, was embarrassed on a public stage, folks. She lost in the courtroom to the Judge Corley. She lost her appeal in the most swift way to the 9th District Circuit, and she was browbeaten and grilled like a piece of chicken on the barbecue in Congress for her shenanigans. She is, again, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you my personal opinion on this, which is what you tune in for, at least I hope, is that, the reason why she's not going to go and pursue this is because her number one witness, the one that she took at their word in the most embarrassing and unprofessional manner I've ever seen, Jim Ryan, has signed the dotted line. They don't. So in police jargon, folks, we go to a scene, we arrest somebody, and the complainant, sometimes it's a family member, maybe it's a domestic. Domestic says, I don't want to press charges. You know what we do? Oh, okay. Well, we release them. No complainant, no crime. Same situation with this. Even though it's different, it's, criminal versus business law. You don't have Sony to rest your high morals on. You don't have a case. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go to Crispy first on this. I think, and this is just my personal opinion, folks, that someone above her, I don't know if it's the president, I don't know who it is, but she has a boss, and someone was probably said, Lena, it's done. It's enough. We're wasting thousands upon millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, in a recession that nobody wants to admit there's a recession here in the United States. You lost. You tried it. You gave it a good college effort. Good on you, but enough's enough. Crispy, let's talk about it, man.
And at first I'm like, I don't like it though, because sometimes I'm like, dude, they're probably still talking the CMA and the FTC, and that's where because it doesn't seem like they care. They don't think there's a problem. That's what I feel like. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's like, would they all of a sudden, okay, something else is involved? I agree with you. Like, there's got to be something here. Hopefully it's the right thing. And somebody said, look, you're going to probably have some serious issues if you continue with this, especially with Congress. Because, I think maybe that letter kind of, put caution, put her more towards the side of caution and just be like, I don't know if I should do this now. Like, this might be going too far, but I think that would be giving her too much credit. And that's where I say, I'm kind of with you. Like, somebody that can, push the button and say, you need to stop, You know what I mean? Because at this point, you're starting to get a lot of eyes that aren't in gaming looking at this like, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like, why are you wasting my tax dollars? Like, this is really dumb. And it really comes down to you're worried about this gaming stuff when there's a lot of other stuff going on that is affecting us consumers far worse than whatever happens, even if we're 10 years down the road with a gaming merger. It's been baffling me for a while. So hopefully we're leaning towards the finish line and this thing gets done and over with and we move on, and then we don't have to sit here and talk about nothing but what games are coming in from, Activision and stuff like that. That would be great. I'm pretty cautious about it though, because something's like, it's like your hair starts standing up and you're just like, I just feel like there's some kind of like little like, we're doing this. And I'm just like, I hope that the FTC maybe has learned from this, and this is where they're going to chill out, maybe focus on some things that are affecting us more. That's really where I'm at.
I like what you're putting down. I mean, obviously, the last hurdle, which is I think the most ridiculous one, is the CMA. I don't think that they. Again, I'm not one of these rah-rah guys close over the UK and F everyone, because it's gonna probably cause more trouble than it's worth. I don't like the pushback that the CMA is putting publicly. They're trying to save face. They're wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. The CMA is straight up wrong. They banked and colluded with the FTC, Lena Khan, and it blew up in their face. They're the last country standing technically. I know that we're still waiting on New Zealand. I know they had some things to say about it. They don't have a problem with the deal now, but they won't come forward until the CMA, because they work close with them. Canada, saying we're keeping a keen eye, even though it doesn't matter what Canada says, because the time frame has passed for them to block it or approve it. So their opinion honestly doesn't matter. And of course, Australia, which also works with the CMA, who is probably waiting for the CMA to make this, sign this contract with the divestiture for cloud, which is going to get done in the next couple of weeks. I just think that the CMA is trying to save face. I think I'm not the only one that believes that. But this whole Lena Khan situation, she's not coming back to the table. Let's go to Silent Cypher, our special guest here. Considering the way that she lost, and she didn't just lose, dude. Like, she lost. And she lost on a very public stage. Everyone knows that she's lost. She doesn't have a case. She knows she doesn't have a case. And I think what makes matters worse for her potentially bringing this thing back is that Sony, her biggest ally in this, has signed the deal like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about this case, like, as soon as we started seeing all this stuff happen in the courts, right? Every time that I heard her pipe up about anything, all I could ever think, and I've mentioned in the past, but I feel like it was really just a grasp at attention, a grasp at trying to make a name for herself. And the thing about it now, right, is, like you were saying, her number one reason to be out there doing this, like, Sony signed the papers. And so, like, Lena at this point, like, she's literally sitting there with egg on her face, and it's one of those things of like, oh, am I going to jump back in and make more of a fit about this, or do I sit it back? And like you said, she has bosses, and I guarantee you someone higher up the chain is like, Lena, Sony signed. Drop it and focus your attention elsewhere. And personally, for me, like, politics aside and all that stuff, like, I don't care where people are on either side of it, but, like, you have to look at this and realize, like, this has been a waste of resources for a nothing case. Should this type of thing have been looked into and investigated? Yes. This big a purchase? Absolutely. But if you don't have a case, don't try and posture and pretend like you have a case, and don't drag it out. Like, I think that's the worst part, is just the fact that they continued every time that they got an L, they doubled down. They added more to the fire.
It's ridiculous. Embarrassing, to be
Yeah.
honest. It's just embarrassing.
So it's just it was frustrating to watch all this stuff go down. I'm really hopeful that, you know, the feedback, the conversations behind the scenes, they realize like they need to just leave it be. They need to focus on other fish. There's bigger fish to fry out there in the market.
Yeah.
This, yes, it is a massive deal. It's the biggest gaming industry deal. So it is a big thing, but obviously with the amount of time they spent in it, they couldn't find a valid case. Their theory of harm was strictly just a theory. There was no actual evidence of harm.
Yeah. And their theory was poor.
Yeah.
It was poorly done. And what's a shame, and what this is where the embarrassment comes in, is the FTC is the United States government. Their resources are limited, are unlimited.
Mhm.
You can't take the market leader that in some places has a 70-30 split in regards to market share at their word as being your major proponent to block a deal. I just think that you're not doing your homework. I think that, and that was proven time and time again, which is why they lost. And you know something? You got to ask yourself, folks, is it a leadership problem when the 4 merger cases that the FTC handled, and they were pretty big, they lost all 4 of them?
Mhm.
I mean, you know, when a coach doesn't make the playoffs 4 years in a row, what happens in the NFL? They get fired, right? They get sent packing because, you know, we got to move in a different direction. And use that sport analogy for whatever you want, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, hockey. If you're not making the right calls, and you get it, you're getting L after L after L. Yeah, sorry, you got to go. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. I'm not too concerned about the CMA. Cat put them on blast. The CMA, I think, right now is trying to play this, you know, we're in charge kind of situation. They're not in charge. They're not, because I'll put it to this way: if the deal was in jeopardy of being debunked, they would have just closed over the UK and just dealt with the fines, because the UK is not that big of a region where they have this veto power for the rest of the entire world. I'm sorry, they just don't. And from what we understand, 5,000 people play on cloud at any one given time. Are we going to block a $70 billion deal for 5,000 concerns of a monopoly for cloud? I don't know, folks. Like I said, let the CMA pretend that they're in charge. That's great. Good on you. But I don't think ultimately. I think there's a lot of pondering. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on here. They're working with Microsoft. They can say whatever they want. They're working with Microsoft to get this done because Cat told them to, and they know that they would have lost the appeal to Cat. That's a fact. But we'll see. Real quick, let me catch up on some super chats. I got a channel membership here from a very good friend of the program who I talk with pretty much every day in DMs, Keo Walker, who has been a channel member for over 2 years. Keo, thank you so much for that. He says the FTC judge said it would be a waste of time to have the trial, and he was the one that would have been hearing the case. Yes, in fact, he did, in fact, say that. And if the FTC judge is telling you that it's a waste of time, well, I think we can all admit that it's a waste of time. Let me get back into the comment section here. We have you drops a very generous £2 super chat. And he asks a question: has anyone pre-ordered and stream? I'm very excited. I was playing it this morning, dude, and it is dope. If you are an OG, if you like sticks and dots, as I like to say, this is definitely for you. A lot of arcade cabinets in there, a lot of old school SNK stuff. They have a great amount of shooters. R-types are in there. I mean, they have some Atari stuff in there. They even have the Atari Amiga stuff, and they have I think it was 3 things that I saw, which I couldn't believe that they were there. If you are a fan of the Super Star Wars, the Super Empire Strikes Back, and the Super Return of the Jedi from the SNES days, they have all of those games there. They have a ton of Star Wars stuff. So I mean, I only dove into it for like an hour. I think I unlocked one achievement, which was 50 points, which was pretty cool. I'm playing through a couple of shooters. I'm playing through a side scroller that's a beat 'em up like Final Fight that SNK made. And you can save where you are. They have all of these static saves where you can go right back to it, which I think is dope. It is a lot of them are arcades, so you just press the start button to drop quarters into it, and you just continue when you die. I was playing Operation Wolf, which is awesome. It's an awesome Tadio shooter. So yeah, dude, I'm all in. Like I bought the lifetime pass. It was $80, and I used like half of it came out of Microsoft rewards. So I mean, what that's a great deal. Eternal should die. My goodness, dude, the generosity. I cannot thank you enough. He drops, folks, a very generous $20 super chat. And he says, PS5 Spider-Man console special edition should have been better. A lot of people agree with you there. He says, having both plates, City of New York, one plate Spider-Man swinging, the other Venom in the middle where they're on sensor would have been the Hudson River, like in the trailer. Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see some designs that are way better than Sony's. There's no doubt about it. It could have been a better. I like it because if you look at it, if you really look at it, it's like the tendrils from the Symbionite trying to block out the light of Spider-Man or his suit. I dig it, but I like the fact that I don't have to buy a $500 console or nearly $600 console now. Forgot the price went up to get it. All I have to do is buy the plates and the controller, which is kind of dope. I do like that. We have Drawn TJ drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, now we talk about who's next on the chopping block. I say Sega and Take-Two. The Take-Two one, man, that is big. Because they own no, it's not them who owns Zynga, right? Is it Take-Two or is it EA that owns Zynga? I'm not sure, but I
think it was Take-Two.
Take-Two.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
It is.
think so.
Yeah, see that's. I mean, I don't know. That would be a push. I like the Sega one because I'm a Sega stan, and I'm not ashamed to say it. We'll see, Drone TJ. I mean, listen. What I want Microsoft to do is I don't want to worry about a publisher right now. I'm publishered out. I'm gonna be honest with you, folks. 20 months of this craziness, I've had it. I want to see Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal come home to Xbox. I want to see IO Interactive. I want to see Asobo. I want to see Certain Affinity. These are studios that they are consistently working with. All of them are currently working on first-party games. I think it's very important to get them on board in Xbox Game Studios before another situation happens, and we'll see. I think they can do it, and they can probably get all 5 of those studios by individually buying them, not in one big sale. Buy them individually. You can buy them individually. There are 2 things. Amy Hood has say of anything under 500 million. She can sign it, and it goes through. Does not have to go to Satya, from what we understand. And more importantly, no regulatory eyes and hands and ears on it because it's going to be under a subset of monies, so they can buy them and just add them, which is dope.
Boom.
Sir.
Mind if I add something real quick?
Please, by all means.
So in regards to this, because I'm definitely I'm all for the idea of Take-Two, but I think especially with ABK coming into the picture at this point,
Yeah, it's
I
a lot.
think I think this leads to scrutiny for them, not in general, just because of the size of Take-Two, but where ABK you're going to be getting King, so you've got that mobile side, which has a
Indeed, yes.
massive dominance. To get that, but then to also bring on Zynga, I would imagine that'd bring a lot of scrutiny on them in regards to monopolizing the mobile market. So I don't know if they would necessarily want to have that battle or have that conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be too much. Personally, I think it would be too much, but we will see. Let's see. You drops an additional very generous £5 super chat and says, if Xbox wants to be the big shooters, they need Apex, Titanfall, Counter-Strike, PUBG, Valorant, Battlefield, and more. I like what you're putting down there, you, and I think that you're onto something. But I think that when you look, I mean, Titanfall is one of my favorite new IPs of all time. Like, I am a Titanfall freak when I tell you. I mean, Counter-Strike, it's legendary. I don't think that they need it. It really is its own thing. Battlefield, I mean, does anyone have confidence? I mean, we have confidence now that Vince Zampella has taken over and added to his plate, which is already overflowing of responsibility of what he can bring, his vision, his ideology. I think Battlefield moving forward is going to be phenomenal. But let's not forget that 2042, maybe it's good now. No one talks about it because they pooped the bed, folks. It came out. I was all on board, and it was terrible. It just was terrible. So maybe what Battlefield looks like in its next iteration is going to have the tendrils or the fingers of Vince Zampella. It might return to glory, but we don't know. We have to wait and see. Valorant, yeah, it's a good shooter. I don't think it's a top tier shooter. Apex is its own thing. They don't need Apex to own it because it's on their platform. It's not like it's on Sony's and not theirs. But we're going to get into that topic in a hot second. So let me just stop there because we have to. Oh, you know what? I'll get to the super chat. We have Mad Hatticus, good friend, very good friend of the program, good friend of mine as well. Mad, thank you so much for the very generosity of $2 super chat. It says, back to work. Thanks for all on the panel. Amazing, brother. Thank you for hanging out as long as you could, and hopefully you can catch us on the back end. Dean Rivera drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, Florian had a tweet thread from 11 hours ago about the FTC's PI appeal that they haven't dropped yet and what that means going forward. Yeah, they're not going to get that. This deal is going to be signed in a couple of weeks. That's not going to be heard until next year, potentially, or even like late at the end of the year. By the end of the year, this deal is done. The PI at that point would be moot. I just think that it's just it's there now. And it's not going to be for much longer because she's going to get her coattails pulled as they should. She lost, and she lost in an embarrassing manner. There's no other uglier way that she could have lost, and she did. She lost. Sorry. She didn't have a case in the beginning, and it was proven time and time again. There's no way that she's going to continue this because, again, it's millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars being wasted, and I think someone needs to stop her. Let's see. So that's that. We're up to date on the super chat. So thank you so much for all of them that have come in so far. Let's get Web Dave's hot take on this. Obviously, we're still talking Lena Khan before we get into the shooter box. What are your thoughts on this, man? Does someone above Lena Khan be like, enough, Mrs. Khan? This is ridiculous.
Well, you know they're going to be yelling at her. I'm just saying. So yeah,
I was waiting for it.
Who are you? Oh, what about this one?
Chaka Khan.
So yeah, so
Another good
they
one.
definitely need to to just end this. It's over. It's done.
It's frivolous at this point. Yeah,
Congress
I agree.
is. I mean, the people of members of Congress that have literally they got together, 22 of them plus. They've signed a memorandum and sent it to be reviewed that they want her to just proceed to other cases and other more important matters. That this is a waste of resources, and if she's trying to make her point, okay, you made her point, your point was bad. Let's move on. And like I said from the beginning, the deal is going to get done, and we're maybe I'm seriously thinking that everything falls into line. This could be before next Friday, or by next Friday, it should be done. So, and then I believe they're going to have a nice little discussion at GamesCon with all these wonderful new toys and assets that they have, because Phil's going to be there in person to talk all about it. But no, Lena's, whether she gets ousted, I mean, she was brought in as a hitman, basically. She had a mission. She's done what she's supposed to do. Didn't get the results that she wanted, but that doesn't mean that they're going to stop. There's going to be other big corporate companies that she's going to continue to go after until she's till there's a new, party in power, or, something like that happens. But other than that, she's, this particular case, I believe, is done. But I guarantee you, she is going to be fired up for Microsoft when they try and buy their next big purchase. She's going to be
well. I think
there's
a couple of really good points. That's a very interesting theory, Dave, and you're absolutely right. Obviously, she's going to be hell bent on winning at something with Microsoft, and she did, right? I think she did get her pound of flesh when they were charged. They got fined for not doing certain things in their advertisement for Xbox Live, and they had to pay a hefty fine. And Microsoft was like, "Yep, you know what? We got it wrong. We paid the fine, did a whole big press release on it, so she got her pound of flesh for that." And those are the kind of things that we want her to do. Crispy says it all the time. Where is the regulatory eyes for the cable companies that continue to raise prices? Or even more so, especially here, like in New Rochelle, New York, my Con Ed bill, and we're in an apartment, folks. We don't have I'm not living in the Trump Tower. We have a small apartment, and I'm paying like I own a house for electricity. And when you call to pay your bill, which is what I do, or I go online, you get that big message, oh, due to rates going up, and it's gone up like almost 20+%. Where are the regulatory eyes to challenge these energy companies? That's what she should be going after. Not, I get the regulatory eyes for a $70 billion deal. It's the biggest tech deal in history. But it's all on point. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft has been transparent with this whole thing from the beginning. She just wanted her pound of flesh, and she got it, I think, somewhere else. That's why I don't want a publisher being brought into the conversation. Let Microsoft start pulling these studios that are outside of Xbox game studios that are working with them right now on first party. Bring them in. Bring them on in, one at a time. Certain Affinity, owned. IO Interactive, owned. Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, working on two of their biggest first-party IPs in Perfect Dark and Fable. Right now, what's the name? Embracer. Embracer's hurting for money, folks. They're hurting for money. Get over there, get those studios, bring them in house. So we'll see. Asobo, yes, another one. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I mean, they're only making Flight Simulator for the next decade. Let's get them in house, folks.
Yep.
But let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere. Where first of all, Fuzzy, I feel bad, brother. Your beautiful face is covered. Okay, there you go. It's not covered anymore, folks. Let's get your hot take on what happens next with Lena Khan and the FTC. Do we think there's going to be anything further with the words ABK attached to them? I personally do not.
No, I think she's going to start licking her wounds as far as this case is concerned. Like I said on previous shows, she's a liability, and I think that's where the call from upstairs came through. Whenever you have members of Congress signing a kind of like a petition, let's say, as far as when a particular regulatory body is kind of run amok or going rogue, I think the higher ups start to look at how this can sink their campaign or be tied to it. So it's like, yeah, it just cut it cut it at the knees, stop it right now, move on to the next case. Enough of this, because it's bringing a bad light on wasteful spending, and that can you imagine? I don't want to bring politics, but can you imagine campaign commercials about that? It's like that's the type of stuff that kills campaigns. So
yeah,
it's good that she finally got the call to kind of back off. They're still leaving some stuff in place as far as the filings and all, but I think in the grand scheme of things, they're going to move on to the next stuff. They're really not going to come to the table like they should when it comes to getting some sort of resolve. I think they'll just kind of let this go, kind of like what they had to do with Amazon when Bezos was like, sue me. And they quickly realized, you can't run the clock out on him, just like you can't run the clock out on Microsoft. So on to bigger and better things, hopefully for her at this point. I expect if this administration gets reelected, that she'll probably be replaced, if not replaced sooner, just because there's a better way to, if whatever fight that she was trying to pull off type of thing, there's better ways to go about it. That you have to start with changing the laws if that's the agenda type of thing, as opposed to just constantly beating your head against the wall when you don't have a case based on the current laws and things. So good on, things moving forward. CMA, of course, they're going to try to save face so they don't look like they were complete buffoons in regards to how, even in the cat tribunal, they were kind of made to look as such. And even the judge that, put the stay on that appeal, or put the stay on the trial and stuff like that, was like, enough of this. It's either, we pause this and it can't have the same result as what we already have on the books. It's like, you're either pausing this because you're resolving this, or you're not pausing this and we're going to move on to getting this trial going. Like
you're talking about for Cat.
Yeah, for Cat.
Yeah. The judge actually called them out for it. As a matter of fact, he put them on blast and said, wait a second, in April, you blocked the deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're here now in July. What changed? Do you want to work with Microsoft now? How come you didn't want to work with Microsoft before? And it's funny, they even mentioned specifically the FTC has no bearing on what happens in this courtroom. And I think that was telling. I'm not saying that they were suggesting it. I'm saying that my interpretation was that, hey, we know you worked with the FTC on this. It did not work out the way that you wanted. Let's get this deal done.
Yeah, it just goes to show. Although I'm waiting to see if there's a further investigation as far as the collusion between the two.
There has to be at some point. Yeah.
Even though there are channels available to the regulatory bodies to communicate amongst each other, but to join arm in arm against a particular establishment just because you have an agenda that you feel is right, but the law on the books doesn't, agree with that. Other countries may look the other way for that, but here in the US, it's not the case. And that's one of those things. If somebody really pushes the button on it, it's going to get messy for Lena Khan on any, future legal career or political career she may had in mind. But good to see that things are moving on. Hopefully Xbox, if they want to look at a publisher, Sega, I know if I say it a few more times, everyone will show up, but in all honesty, that makes the most sense. I mean, sure, Square makes sense because they also have a presence in mobile, but then it comes across petty and
it's scandalous.
It's one of those things where you get you get a handful of IP centered around one continuous world or congruent world with the Final Fantasy series and all the offshoots and things. And it's like, is that really worth, the price that they'll probably have to pay $7 billion or so to get? I mean, the mobile would probably be worthwhile for the East Coast, but then again, you have that now also with Sega, with their IPs, their presence on the East, and having Rovio. So I think that's the much better option. And I think they're valued a little bit cheaper, like by $1 billion or so.
Yeah,
And
it's like I think it's like 5.1 right now. Yeah.
and I think FTC has already been on record, at least some of the lawyers that have been litigating these cases have already gone on record. If it wasn't for the dollar amount, we probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So they can't really be like, oh, well, you know, Sega, we have to block it. Well, wait, this is not much more than what Sony paid for Bungie. You're telling me there's a double standard on that now too?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, no, that,
but yeah, it's good that she's kind of putting the brakes on things. Maybe it's a little too late to save her career in that regard, but I'm pretty sure the morale, hopefully, and the FTC, as far as we saw the reports on that stuff, as far as morale was low. So hopefully they're able to bounce back. Maybe they can, you know, focus on their mission statement and help the consumer, as opposed to just beating this drum against big tech just because it's big tech. But I've rambled enough. I'm sorry.
no. Listen, this is a conversational podcast, folks. Listen, that's what we do. Listen, there's a couple more super chats. I'll get those in a hot second. Let's get into Shooter Box 2.0. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how else to say it, but when you look at what Microsoft is going to have in their first-party lineup as first-person shooters, they're some of the most iconic names in shooter history. Obviously, Halo leads the pack. Now, maybe Halo isn't your thing anymore. I hear you. But I'm still going to tell you that Halo Infinite right now is probably the best Halo I've ever played. It's fast, it's fluent. Yes, it needs more content, but they're adding it left, right, and center. I am loving what they're doing. I cannot wait to see what the new 343 looks like with the next Halo. But I am really enjoying Season 4. I have officially done every season in the game. I've completed all 100 levels on seasons 1 through 4. I've done all the subset seasons as well. I have 16 days played in Halo Infinite, and I am not sorry at all. I love this game very, very much. But then, of course, let's talk iconic IPs, folks. Halo, Gears, Doom, Fallout. Now, if I'm missing someone, please, by all means,
Quake.
Was that Quake? There you go. Thank you, kind sir. Quake is another one. And then you add Call of Duty. All I'm going to say, folks, is if you don't believe what Boom is telling you about Call of Duty, all you have to do is look at the fervor that was the last couple of days on social media. The top 5 selling games on Xbox, 4 of the 5 were from the Xbox 360 in Call of Duty on servers that were turned on by Microsoft. And of course, you say, well, why didn't they do that for PlayStation? Well, there are 2 reasons. One, you don't own Call of Duty. Microsoft does. And the other instant, and this is the most important thing, you can't play PS3 games on your PS4 or your PS5. And that's a big problem. And Microsoft has backwards compatibility, unlike Sony. And this is what the power of being an Xbox gamer does for you. And again, the sales numbers, folks, they don't lie. The server number, the server count of hundreds of thousands of people playing these old Call of Duties, the numbers don't lie. I'm going to go first to Silent Cypher on this because I really want to get your hot take on, has Xbox become the place for has it become the Shooter Box 2.0 as it was known for in the Xbox 360 era when you consider Doom, Fallout, Quake, Halo, Gears, and now Call of Duty, all first party under Xbox Game Studios banner? I think it's just it's unbelievable when you say it out loud.
Mhm. Yeah, even without Call of Duty included in that, you've already got all those other juggernauts. But to add Call of Duty onto it is like that, it's the whipped cream on top. It's that extra, it's the sprinkles, it's the sweetness. I'm super stoked about this, and obviously a lot of people are. Like you said, in regards to the amount of people going back, playing these back compat games, the amount of fervor for the support on these things. Like it's great to see, and I'm really happy that Microsoft ended up going in there and fixing the server issues and opening them back up. I mean, I'll be honest, I saw everyone playing around on Black Ops 3, like
That's
I
been
saw it all.
Black Ops 1 was the most popular, dude. Like,
Yeah. And
crazy.
I was downloading it last night. I was sitting there playing Far Cry, and it came up in a conversation I was listening to on a podcast. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna download that real quick too. And it's great, man. Like diving back into it, it's awesome to have that support. I love the back compat program in general, but I'm really happy to see the servers for these getting a second wind. So all of us can go back and revisit these things and actually get to play more of these games. And obviously, as this acquisition happens, as things finish off and they end up putting these games into Game Pass, the fact that those servers are there will add them more and more. Like those are additional revenue alleys for them to take, especially in the later games where they had a lot of DLC and stuff like that. It's like printing money. I mean, just it's a really good way for them to see extra return and dividends in the process. But yeah, I think, I mean, this is the same thing we were talking about with it basically being like the Western RPG box, right? Like the fact that you've got all of these RPGs and everything, and then now you've got all the shooters as well. So this thing's marking off a bunch of the checkbox, right? Like you've got a bunch of the checklist that's marked off now. So if you don't have Game Pass, it's even more of an appealing purchase, because now you're going to have all these things. Now, granted, you're not going to have the newest Call of Duties necessarily until the PlayStation rights or the agreement runs out, I would assume. But it doesn't seem to matter, because again, like these servers and people bombarding those old games show that they don't necessarily have to have the new hotness. They are more than welcome to go nostalgic with it as well.
You know what's interesting? If I recall, Jim Ryan asking the question, folks, who plays old games? Well, apparently old games sell there, fella, and people are buying them in droves. Listen, I think you had a lot of killer points. In regards, and again, this is pure speculation from what we understand, and it was spoken about, Cypher, in trial, that Jim Ryan said it does not make business sense to continue marketing Call of Duty when it's going to be looked upon as an Xbox franchise. And he's right. Did hear, and again, this is rumors, folks, I don't know for sure, that the 2023 contract has been reworked. We know that Sony signed a 10-year deal that starts the minute this deal is done. So what I'm gathering, and I could be wrong here, that newly signed 10-year deal negates the old current contract, which will again, speculation, folks. I could be 1,000% wrong. Would have marketing rights revert back to ownership, Xbox, Microsoft, and then in November of 2023, we're going to see Call of Duty, whatever that's going to be. I believe it's Call of Duty 3, Modern Warfare 3, remastered, remake, whatever, in Xbox Game Pass day and date. And if that happens, that is going to be ridiculous.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense for them to do, right? Like Sony doesn't want to waste the extra money on the remaining part of the deal if this is going to go this way, right? Like they're obviously butthurt the fact that it's going the way it is, and so they're going to want to clench onto their pennies, save the money that they can, because like you're literally going to advertise this game and you're going to be selling more copies for your competitor. And that's the last thing they want. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not super petty about all this all the time, but I cannot wait to see the salt flow when folks on Sony's side load up their Call of Duty and you see that Xbox splash screen pop up there, Xbox Game
Well,
Studios.
yeah, it's going to be something. It is definitely
be
going to be something
entertaining.
to talk about. Listen, let's bring in Crispy Bomb on this, but before we do, I got to catch up on some super chats as well as a private member chat. Comes the way of Dark Winters, who's been a channel member for 5 months. Dark Winters, thank you so much for that. He says we are heading to another Xbox 360 level domination. I think you are on to something, kind sir. He also dropped a pretty big bomb super chat, so I'll get to that in a hot second. Let me just catch up. We have here Patman Jones, generous friend of the program, drops a $5 super chat and says Microsoft doesn't need to acquire Take-Two. They just need to get Take-Two ASAP and buy marketing rights for GTA 6. They will be set. Shark cards and Game Pass. Yeah, I think you were on to something. They don't need to buy Take-Two. They need marketing for Grand Theft Auto 6, which would be, remember, they used to have marketing rights. As a matter of fact, if you remember during the Xbox, the OG Xbox, they had Grand Theft Auto as an exclusive for a little bit. So
360 with GTA 4.
what was the 3? Okay, it was 360. That's right, because Peter Moore raised the arm with the
Yeah.
tattoo. That's right. Yeah, Peter
Yeah,
Moore.
buddy.
We love that guy.
That tattoo, God bless.
So I mean, it could happen. I think marketing rights would be huge. I don't know how expensive it would be, but it'd be worth it. It would be worth it. And I love the shark card idea. I think that's brilliant. That because again, shark cards. That's GTA Online makes a ton of money. We also have Jordan TJ drops an additional very generous $5 and $2 super chat. He says Microsoft said that they were not done buying publishers either. Get EA or WB or Embracer. And I don't want Embracer. I like what they're doing over there, but they have too many studios that it'd be a waste of money. They just need to get the 2 studios that got bought, and maybe the Tomb Raider IP. They could buy it for a lot of money, and Embracer could make back their money that they spent 3 times over. His second super chat of $2 is the publishers I said were in 1 to 2 years. Yeah, indeed. I think it's going to be a couple of years before we hear another publisher. Double X Wolverine, Double X drops an additional $2 super chat and says, I would like a new Turok. Not sure how you feel. Yes, please. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, with, modern controls and modern graphics, yes please, I will definitely take that. But if there's one game out of the Activision Blizzard King stuff that I really want to see come back, that is Prototype. I think that Microsoft has a hero of their own that they now have rights to. I'd love to see Prototype come back in just the biggest, most gigantic way. People would flock to the system. I'd also like to see a Singularity remake or a sequel. Singularity was dope. Let's see. We also have Dark Winters drops a bombastic $20 super chat and says, the truth is Xbox is the place to be right now. We stumbled in the Xbox One generation, but it seems like we are getting to a massive turnaround and getting back to what the 360 started. Xbox has no games, ? Xbox has your games. Indeed, ! Added to that. That is true. I think the tables have turned on Sony. I'm not saying they're going out of business, but I'm saying that market leadership that they have is going to go away, and they're going to give Microsoft and Xbox is going to give them a good run for their money. We have a Lieutenant Hulk here. Lieutenant Hulk, welcome to the program, brother, as always, and thank you for the $5 super chat. He says the 360 is back like a phoenix, and Microsoft should just buy a stake in other companies to avoid the FTC. They could do that with Sega. And I think that comes that whole ideology comes the way of Everborn Saga, who said they didn't need to buy the company. They just needed to buy about 49%, invest into Sega, and with that 49% have a controlling stake in what the games division does. And that removes regulatory eyes immediately. So maybe that's something that they do. But let's see, Web Dave, let's get your hot take on the return of the shooter box. Are you in the same ideology that with the powerful IPs that are all under one roof? I think people are going to come back and flock to the Xbox. What about you?
Oh, I think he stepped away.
Oh, he did. So please, by all means, Fuzzy Belvedere, take that question, sir.
Oh, as far as what the with the different oh crap.
No, I'm talking
The
about
shooter box.
yes.
With it
Mhm.
being the shooter box, yeah, they have some of the biggest IPs, and I know someone had made mention earlier about like Apex Legends and Titanfall and like PUBG and things like that. And those being multi-plat, I mean some of them being PC exclusive like Counter-Strike. There was rumors way back when the crazy rumor of what do you call it? Microsoft buying Steam and Valve, but I don't know if they go quite that far because that would
Mhm.
probably be equally as expensive as ABK, if not more so. But having the ones that they have, with having Doom, having Call of Duty, having Halo, having Wolfenstein, having Fallout, I mean, it definitely goes to show it's the shooter box, it's the Western RPG box. I would also call it the racing box because it not only has a racing simulator, it also has an arcade racer, and some of the best ones out there. So they're going to wear many hats, but yeah, as the shooter box, this is going to be one of those times where I know in comparison when I was on PS3 and a lot of other of my friends were on the 360, it's going to kind of lean into that same aspect where it's going to be the place to go if you want to play that particular type of game. You're definitely going to want to have an Xbox or at least a Game Pass account, and then go ahead and use the browser or use your PC or
Use
your
your
phone.
$5,000 PC, PlayStation uners. I know you got them because you put it out there. I know. I see. I'm looking at you, PlayStation owners. You got $5,000 rigs. Use them.
Yeah. So it's awesome to see that they have so many of those great IPs. I'm hoping with all of them being under the same roof, we see some crossover, whether it's Halo and Doom Guy, like a Master Chief and Doom Guy collab kind of thing, or maybe Coalition, works on like a more of like a futuristic Call of Duty, kind of like in the essence of Gears or something like that. Just any type of crossover, whether it's weapon skins, or just like armor or skins and things like that. That would be pretty awesome to see as well. But yeah, they definitely got shooters covered with Xbox right now, and there's only like a handful of other studios if they do want to go smaller that I would like to see them pick up. The guys that are doing Ready or Not, I think it's not Black Matter or something Matter or something like that. I think either that or
I
they're
like the smaller studio ideas. I do because I think that there's what Game Pass does, Fuzzy, is it allows for risk because it's a service that lives or breathes with content. Getting smaller studios to make these unusual games that most people wouldn't even consider watching a trailer, let alone downloading, just continues to add value to the service. I like what you're putting down, man.
Yeah, because there's some games that you see on early access for Steam, like Unrecord. I know it hasn't been released into early access just yet, but it's on like wish list. It's the one that was the body cam thing that everybody thought was real life.
Yes.
Pick up a smaller studio like that, give them the funding, give them the staff, and see where it goes. Ready or Not has been pretty much kind of like a PC replacement for Rainbow Six Siege, since it doesn't seem like Ubisoft is too quick to really update that game the way the fans want, with more maps and things like that on a regular basis. But Ready or Not would be that smaller studio. And then one of my favorite is New World Interactive that does Insurgency Sandstorm, which is like you have a PvP and a co-op shooter, 8-man squads going against 30 plus AI and things like that, going from building to building, doing room clearings and things like that. So there's still more room for them to possibly grow that shooter box line, but yeah, what they have now, it's top notch, and there's only a handful of stuff that's out there that they don't own. But once again, like I said, they're multi-plat or they're PC, which If you're part of Xbox, you get, I think Valorant, I think that was part of that whole what do you call them deal that they had for PC not too long ago, with like the
Yes.
League of Legends and
Yep.
stuff like that. So they don't have to necessarily own it, but you'll have access to it. And Apex Legends being free to play, you don't have to have online to play it. You know,
Yep.
it's free to play as well. So yeah, they're definitely going to be the kings of the shooter box. And like I said, Western RPGs and racing simulators, or just racing games in general, they got you covered.
Yeah, they do. I mean, again, we're just talking about shooter box scenario, Xbox 360 days, but you're definitely onto something, because they're the king of racers, they're the king of Western RPGs, and now the crown jewel is shooters. Folks, I'm here to tell you that if you're not down with Xbox, you're doing it wrong, straight up. Like, take your biases, put them to the side, think with your minds. Don't be a lemming. Look at what Microsoft and what Xbox are doing in regards to value for your subscription. If you're not down with Xbox right now, based on what we know is coming and what they just did in potentially closing ABK around the world in the next couple of weeks, I don't know what to tell you. I think you're missing out. I mean, you can own multiple platforms, and Microsoft's exclusives, it appears, are just on another level, and we're going to be getting them soon enough. And it's starting this year with Starfield, followed by a new Forza Motorsport, a new Call of Duty in Game Pass, value out the yin yang, and it's just going to continue into 2024, 25, 26, and continue. We have a new channel member. Let me see who this is. G-Wave. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. We do greatly appreciate that very much. Welcome to the program. Crispy Bomb. You've been chomping at the bit, kind sir, because obviously when you talk about shooter box, we know that your love for Gears is right there. And people keep saying this, so obviously it's a thought, it's a theory in the minds and the masses of Xbox players, that we potentially are heading back to a 360 era where the dominant platform was Xbox. Let's talk about the shooter box 2.0, dude.
I mean, if anybody says it's not, they're crazy. I mean, and you brought up Wolfenstein as well. It's like we didn't even mention.
Oh my
that.
God, I forgot about Wolfenstein.
Like, dude, and I think I mean, come on, like you gotta look at it and be like, at some point, because like we're talking about also legacy titles, like these titles like Doom, Wolfenstein, dude, these titles started it all, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you played those games back in the day, it was something real special. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it's like you can't deny it. Like, yeah, I know people say, some of these other games, and I'm like, dude, like, but they're not any of these IPs. It's absurd. And you look at Call of Duty, and it's like, okay, we did the server, and then it's like, oh, all the Xboxes are gone. All the all the stock they had is just getting wiped out like tenfold. I was watching some people videoing like booting up Black Ops or Black Ops 2 and just like almost in tears. Like, I thought I would never play this game again. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, dude, this is just incredible. And I can go to myself and be like, dude, like if I couldn't play the old Gears when I wanted to, I would feel the same darn way. You know what I'm saying? And as far as like, any like publisher talk and stuff like that, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear them looking at, studios that make like huge shooters anymore. Like, come on, we have enough. All right, let's move on. Let's get Killer Instinct going again. Let's get these single player experiences that, they have lacked over the years. Let's get them in here. You know what I mean? Let's start pumping stuff out. You're going to see games after games after games dropping. I mean, as this deal closes, I'm sure that all of a sudden, bang, you're going to be like the whole Tony Hawk series. Like, you're going to be playing the old Tony Hawks, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to realize, like, it's something special that Microsoft's trying to do. They're trying to rebuild legacy. And you remember his back compat speech, man. He was like, legacy is important. And the one thing is, I feel like these games will never die now, because they're going to be under the Microsoft banner, that you're going to be able to go back to them when you want. And that is really cool. And at the end of the day, like, you just can't deny it. You can't deny that this has become Western RPG, shooter box, racer. And soon enough, you really ain't going to be able to say much about the single player either. So we're going to be at a point where you just gotta say, okay, like, time to compete. Well, here you go. Some of you PlayStation guys, you asked for it, man. And we didn't even think at times that it was going to happen. And now they've been rolling. And now it's like, yeah, this could be a 360 gen. But they could be what PlayStation 3 did at the end. We could all of a sudden come and take it right at the end, because it's starting to look that way. The way when those legacy, Call of Duty games dropped in there and that happened, I was like, this is this is going to be interesting. Now they need to start pumping out some consoles real quick, because this is going to get pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider it, again, you have to kind of, pull an I Steel Rain ideology and do that RTS view. Look at the wider picture of what Xbox is doing. What they're doing and what they will do, being considered the shooter box for the best place for all for shooters in general, not just first person shooters, because obviously there's Gears. But when you consider the IP legacy, Dave, and two of which I forgot, like, people were like, "Well, boom, what about Wolfenstein? What about Doom? What about it's pretty crazy that we see what looks to be one of the biggest turnarounds in gaming. Microsoft has some of the most premier Western RPG studios in the business, right? They have two of the greatest racing studios ever to grace a console. And now, with the closure of this deal, which is always imminent and in a couple of weeks, when you add Call of Duty to Master Chief and Marcus Phoenix and Doom Guy and JB from Blazkowicz, and of course Fallout 76, Dave, it's going to be at some point very difficult to ignore what Microsoft and Xbox are doing. Let's get your hot take on Shooter Box 2.0, sir.
I agree. It's definitely becoming the shooter box. They've always been known for shooters, always.
Yep.
And but even the narrative of the shooter box being back is definitely, for sure, a great point to be on, because it is definitely, it is so many amazing, great shooters. But it's so much more now. That's what makes it so exciting, because the avenues are wide open. Game Pass is bringing in so many more of the great games. I mean, I loved, some of the games that have been out that aren't necessarily first person, like Gears and stuff like that. It's just amazing. Those are great shooters. Plus, they've got family games, puzzle games. I mean, there's so many more avenues. Story driven single player narrative is a lot what Sony's really strong about. But I think that over this next year or so, that's going to start changing too. I really think that Microsoft is going to be able to bring the bar up to where it's going to be, Sony's really going to have to be on the game to stay where they're at. I'm not saying that they're going to lose first place overnight, but they're definitely, Microsoft is going to take a big chunk and move up the ladder a lot closer than where they were, and they're on the right path. Sometimes we seem we get a little frustrated, because it's like, what are they doing? What's going on here? But they do have a big picture. They have a big master plan that we may not exactly affect all of us. Some like the mobile part, to me, I don't, okay. But I mean, in the long run, getting us, the hardcore gamers, the games that we want, the first person shooters, the the great RPGs, the hardcore games you're going to play for hours and hours and days and months and years ahead. Those kind of games that we really want. It's going to take Microsoft doing everything they can in all the avenues of gaming to get us there. And so I applaud them for that. And I know, like I said, sometimes why are they spending money here? It's going to be better for all of us. And with that, even with the Sony, bots, as it were. I mean, I play Sony. I have Sony. I like Spider-Man. I even what I said earlier, I do like Spider-Man. It's just, it's not the end all be all. But with that, it makes them, they're going to have to work harder to continue to get their dollars. And who does that benefit? That benefits
Us,
gamers,
consumer, right here.
kinds.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely, 100%.
All
when
of
they're
us.
battling each other, we're winning, right? Because they want our attention to go back onto Sony. Sony's gonna have to do some weird things. Maybe we get a SOCOM. Maybe we get a Resistance Fallen Man remake. Maybe we get a new Twisted Metal. Maybe they go into their back catalog and bring back Warhawk, which was dope back in the days. There's a lot of things Sony could do. And
Siphon
you know what?
filter.
You know what, something, Dave? They're going to have to do them now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They are going to have to do something for sure. For sure. I'm dropping another member chat in there from somebody very special. Yeah. Somebody very special.
Let's see.
Here it goes.
Okay.
And boom.
There you go. Hargeet Chani, a very good friend of the show. He's been a channel member for over 10 months. Hargeet, brother, thank you so much for being here. Best smile in the business, folks. He says, I hope Xbox doesn't do a do-over cinematic stuff. Do the over cinematic stuff. 45-minute cutscenes. Yeah, he has a real problem with that. 15 minutes gameplay. No thanks. I love Xbox supporting co-op and multiplayer gameplay. I mean, he was literally just talking about that. He was playing Death Stranding, and he talked about it on Prime Time. He's like, wait a second. Let me get this straight, folks. I only got an hour to play a game. I go to play Death Stranding, and it's 45 minutes of cutscenes and 15 minutes of play. I'm out. And he's not wrong. Kojima does these long cutscenes. I mean, that's just what he does. I agree with Hargeet. I don't want Xbox to be PlayStation and PlayStation to be Xbox. Be who you are. I'm just saying, Dave, that we're with this deal finally crossing the finish line in a couple of weeks, regardless of what they're putting out there on social media. Don't pay attention to it. The CMA is going to work with Microsoft. Microsoft's going to work with the CMA. They're going to sign the deal. There's going to be some concessions. It's done. It's a done deal. They just have to figure it out. It'll be done. Bringing Call of Duty back home to where it belongs on Xbox, and now even more so than a marketing deal with Activision. They own the whole kit and caboodle, is going to be massive. Bringing back the Shooter Box 2.0. Love what everyone had to say about this. I mean, look, at the end of the day, folks, and I said this before, and I'm not being a bot. And honestly, I don't get $1 from Microsoft. They barely know who I am. The truth of the matter is as a gamer, which is what I am first, when you look at the playing field, the best place to play games right now and in the very near future, as well as looking into 2024, 25, 26, 27, is not PlayStation and it's not Nintendo. It is Xbox, especially if you are invested in their ecosystem, i.e., Xbox Game Pass. Yes, it went up $2, but still $1 less than what Sony's offering, and they're not giving you day and date. And let's call a spade a spade. As Nintendo service, even though it's not expensive, you get old games. You're not getting any really new games in there. So the best place to play is on Xbox. We are turning a corner. We're seeing the tides turn. We're seeing Sony fumble and bumble. Nintendo's always going to march to their own drum. I mean, the best-selling game this year is probably going to be Mario's new Wonder, Super Mario Wonder. There's no doubt that's going to be one of the best-selling games of this year, hands down. It's going to probably sell 10 million copies in its first couple of weeks. I have a strong suspicion it's going to be one of the best-selling games, and it's a new Nintendo game. So yes, Nintendo marches to their own drum. Sony kind of lost in the sauce right now with their we're moving away from the AAA bangers to bring you only 2 a year to the service game situation, which I don't think they're really good at. And from what we saw, none of them really were appeasing. We will see. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the new episode of Breakfast with Boom. This was an amazing conversation, folks. Everyone had outstanding points. We had over, I believe it was 800 people here, which is pretty freaking good for a Friday morning. Thank you so much for checking out the show. If you are new and you're finding the channel for the first time, I ask that you consider subscribing. I do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, all different panels, all different shows, but all great content. And we never sell hate to get your like or your sub. And speaking of hitting the like button, folks, I'm looking at it live. The live counter is right in front of me. We have 137 likes. We had 800 people here. Am I not bringing it each and every show? Can you please, for the love of the gaming gods, hit that like button before you get out of here? And let's get to the outros. We'll start first with Silent Cypher. Brother, thank you so much. You know what? I forgot that you had told me a couple weeks ago that you're off every other Friday. Listen, whenever you're off, please, by all means, just DM me. Hey, Boom, you want a guest? I'm available. You're going to join. Love having you a part of this show. Love that you're a part of this amazing community. Sell your own brand, brother. Talk about the best place to find you on social media and what else you got going on, sir.
Well, thank you, Boom. Thanks for having me again, listening to my shenanigans and tolerating my my goofball takes here and there. And yeah, I'll definitely be hitting you up. It's nice to have the Fridays off. It's especially nice to get to hang out with all you gentlemen on a Friday. But yeah, as far as where you can find me, I've been busy, Boom. I've been kind of running around. So shout out to G-Wave. He actually just became a member on your channel. He had me on his show Wednesday night, actually, right after we did our XBI podcast. So I jumped on there. He just started up his show. It's really new.
Okay.
If you get a chance, if anyone in there wants to have another Xbox podcast or something, go in there.
G-Wave, do me a favor, brother. DM me. We'll get you on the show. One of the Xbox show. DM me forthwith, and we'll make it happen. We'll help sell your brand as well. Thanks, Silent.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, actually today, so I think we're about 4 hours from now, I'm actually going to be jumping on TSWS Gaming.
Oh, with Ham Solo and company. Yep. That's dope. Yeah, we love that dude.
Yeah, so I'll be hanging out with him. Loke, I think Matt Likes Games and Cozy Beluga are going to be there as well. We're going to be hanging out. And then actually shout out to him for last night too, because he just did a sit down with Colt Eastwood. And if anyone hasn't seen that, it's worth jumping on there and checking out after this as well. It's cool to get an inner look at Colt Eastwood, the man, the myth,
the man, the myth, the legend. Colt Eastwood. We love Colt.
But yeah, so besides those things, like I said, obviously XPI podcast, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We share the same time slot with Mr. Boomstick, but there is no problem with after views or anything like that. If you don't catch us initially, views of you. If you enjoy the show, leave us comments. Let us know where we can fix it. Let us know where we can punish Crazy Louie if he misbehaves. The usual.
You can expect Louis to misbehave. I mean,
always.
Crazy Louie Gaming, for crying out loud.
And of course, you'll find me on Twitter at Silent Cypher. That's mainly where I'm at. I'm hoping to get some more TikTok stuff up as well. But thanks again for having me.
Good stuff as always, kind sir. Real quick, let me catch up on the super chats. We have Dark Winters, I'm sorry, drops on a very generous additional $2 super chat. And I love this pick. And he says, I want People Can Fly. Outriders was great. Well, here's the thing. I think People Can Fly is one of the studios they are going to buy, because remember, they just signed an exclusive AAA IP with Microsoft and Xbox. So they're working together. Again, let's see how that turns out. I really liked Gears Judgment. I know, please don't throw the tomatoes, folks. I enjoyed I liked it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for liking that game, but I like People Can Fly. I think they're a dope studio. And I would love them to join as well. And speaking of gears, before I get to the other super chats, Crispy Bomb, sell your brand, brother. Talk about where people can find you on social media and what else you got going on, kind sir.
Oh, it's a great show. Shout out to the chat. People Who Can Fly, just going to say this, definitely is in the realm because they actually moved to Canada, I believe.
Ooh, interesting.
And they also are pretty good with UE. If anything I could say about Judgment, it was pretty gorgeous game. I'm going to be honest. It was really good looking game. So, but yeah, I mean, you could find me on Twitter at Crispy Bomb, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. And as of now, I'll just be back here next week. We'll see you then.
Yeah, brother. Well, glad to have you back here on Breakfast with Boom each and every Friday morning. Love having you a part of this panel because obviously you bring it 1000%. And of course, you did that again today. So thank you. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Hey, Boom, conquer Banjo and Spyro and Blinks in an open world 3D, a third person crossover in Unreal Engine." You know what, Drawn TJ? This is why I love you, brother. Can we say that? I mean, we can't say it yet. I'm going to plant the seed. Home of the best mascots in gaming: Crash, Spyro, Conquer, Banjo, Blink,
Sonic. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, hold on a sec.
I'm sorry. Was that a well?
Don't say it. Don't say it any louder, because of course, what it calls could bombard us. So but I like what you're putting down. I like the Sega play, and I like Sonic being a first party character as well. We'll work up to the Sega thing, and then we can say home of Western RPGs, home of shooters, home of racers. Oh, and by the way, they own Sonic. I love this slander. It's amazing. We have Jonathan Lopez drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Sarah Bond just tweeted something about Street Fighter on Game Pass. Also hit that like button, everyone." Listen, she tweeted, we didn't talk about it. It was one of the original topics. We will get to this on Monday's show. She tweeted out potentially something about Elden Ring, and she knows what she's the master of marketing. Let's call it like it is. Sarah Bond knows her business, and she is an unbelievably smart woman and an incredible asset to Microsoft and Xbox. And when she tweets like EF Hutton, I listen, folks. And if I have to check that out, Jonathan, send it to me in my DM. If you follow me on Twitter, it's at Mr. BoomStick XL. I will check that out. And thank you for the generosity as always. And of course, JD Gamer, mega generous friend of the program, has been for years. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Xbox has long been the best place to play FPS games, TPS, racers, strategy, etc. And what Xbox wasn't good at was narrative-driven single-player games and platformers. Xbox has always had a variety. Now they have even more." Yeah, I mean, if there's something that can be said about the turning of the tides, as I mentioned earlier, it's especially in something that I've been asking for. Lord Cognito has been asking, hashtag just one of the Iron Lords podcast. We need Microsoft. Well, we needed Microsoft to be very serious and pointed in the single player narrative game. And my God, do we have a ton of those coming out. And obviously the June showcase was really about those first person story driven narrative focused games. And we're going to, man, if you're not an Xbox folks, I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it all wrong. But Web Dave, sell your brand, kind sir. Best interviewer in the business. Some of the most iconic interviews on YouTube. Well, Web Dave has done them. And not only that, he has a show each and every Sunday with Retry from Game Pass _daily that continues to grow. The numbers are there, Dave. You're doing the gaming god's work. Sell your brand, kind sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You're getting even more super chats, by the way, just so you know.
I will get
I
to
know
them,
you
I
get to them.
promise.
I just like, woo, keep them coming. Thank you so much, Boom, for having me on. This is this show and the Monday show. Even though they're not my shows, they're still my favorite shows to be on. To
Thank
be
you, sir.
honest, I love them, man, absolutely. And Silent Cypher, so great to have you here, buddy. And of course, Crispy, Fuzzy. You know, when you say more. Got a man crush on Fuzzy, but I'm just kidding.
But I mean, look how beautiful that bald
There's
head is,
nothing-
folks. How
He
can you
is.
say no to that? Look at that
He's
face.
so sexy.
Say no to that face. Sorry.
Oh, goodness. But just so you know, he's like, oh yeah. Just so you know that I do have we have a great show coming up on Sunday. We have John Wolf as our special
Nice.
guest, and then we also have C Money
Oh,
as our
nice.
special guest.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Awesome.
so Sunday show, and then Monday's interview is our exclusive interview with C Money. So it's a C Money
Excellent.
weekend on our channel. So check it out. Find out more about that crazy cat. It's awesome. His family is amazing, and you had
Yeah.
him on here a bunch. And another up and coming member of the community. And we love seeing people that are grow like that are family friendly and fun for the environment. And so it's all good, man. It's guys, so many great things coming out. I also because I know Fuzzy's coming up. Fuzzy, I'm going to go ahead and put your link in the chat because everybody needs to go
Thank you, sir.
subscribe to your channel. Just saying.
Indeed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Indeed. Brother, well, thank you so much for that. And of course, love the work that you're doing over there, not only on your own channel, but of course with Retro each and every week on the Gamers Council podcast, which is growing, and you're having an amazing guest. And obviously you're even doing the member podcast, which is awesome as well. We had Dreadful Sean. Welcome to the program, brother. Sorry I didn't welcome you in. I didn't even see you there. Thank you for the generous $5 super chat. And he says this: Xbox is taking a page out of Nintendo's book using that nostalgia factor. Just played a game of Black Ops 1 and went 14-4. Dude, that you are really good. Felt so good to reminisce. And you know something? I have to go look for them because some people send me in the DMs. People like giddy, like children. Some people even like tears in their eyes playing these games they never thought they would play again. And Microsoft turned on these servers. Again, what an olive branch to the gaming world. Hey, did you play these games on the 360? And we know that you left because we did some bonehead moves. We had some bad management decisions, and you went to play on PS4. Well, come on back. The water is great. We got a lot of new games for you. Oh, and by the way, we own Call of Duty. So, yeah, hang out with us. That's why they did it. That's why it happened. I could not be more happy. JD Gamer drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, I need them to buy IO, Asobo, Avalanche, Certain Affinity, Crystal D, Level 5, Crytek. Crytek's another one. That's a big one. Capcom and Sega. See, JD Gamer, like Drawn TJ, like Infinite Umbra, like myself, we're greedy gamers. We just want we want the whole board. I don't want a piece of the board. I want the whole board. I love what you're putting down, JD. Thank you for the generosity. And last no way least, a Fuzzy Belvedere. Brother, please sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can check out the best place for anything and everything racing and what else you got going on. And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Well, I want to start off by thanking you, Boom, for having me on. Greatly appreciate the opportunity. And it's always great being on here with you guys. And when we have a special guest like Silent Cypher, it's always awesome just hearing your takes and view on things in the gaming community and stuff like that. For those that want to, hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, especially Forza, you can definitely find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere and on YouTube, just Fuzzy Belvedere altogether. Doing a couple of videos, quick videos on like the AI updates, tire updates. Going to do one coming soon for the tracks that are going to be included at launch. So be on the lookout for that. You can also find me on the Xbox Ultimate podcast later on tonight, 10 p.m. on Fun Speculations channel. Then on Saturday, the Shop podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. and then right back here Monday morning or Monday afternoon for Xbox Lunch Break Special right here on Double Barrel Gaming. Look forward to seeing you there.
Brother, thank you so much for that. And obviously, Web Dave asked me to mention this. According to Dave, and I didn't know this, he said the Ant Stream Arcade that is currently available only on Xbox. You won't be able to play the Bandai Namco games like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Splatterhouse, and Galaga, even though it's listed. And I think that's because they're coming at a later date. I don't know for sure. If you're asking my opinion, if you are an OG and you appreciate games from yesteryear, I spend $30 and get the year pass, and you get a chance to play all these games. They have leaderboards, they have all these different challenges for you to go against other people in the community. I just play the games. I love what they're advertising. I loved what they were selling so much that I got the lifetime pass, which is $80. And like I said, half of that $80 came the way of Microsoft Bing points that I was just piling up. And I saw, let me get a gift card. And I went and got it. And there you go. If you are into preserving where you came from or where games came from, this is probably the best representation of game preservation I've ever seen. And it really does offer a lot. We'll see how they add to this, whether or not they're going to get some stuff from Capcom. Because like Mortal Kombat, the arcade Mortal Kombat is in there. The final fights are in there. So there's a lot. I mean, I have to really dig my toes into the sand here. I only played for about an hour and a half. There's a lot of games, and some of which, again, like that Taddeo shooter, I remember playing in Nathan's on Central Avenue in Yonkers. Man, it brought me back to yesteryear. Love what they're doing, and it's only available on Xbox. That service is only available on Xbox, and that is a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for making this another successful Breakfast with Boom. A big shout out to the unbelievable amount of super chats that have come in today. I honestly, I'm at a loss for words on how generous you folks are, especially in the channel membership game. Again, we are incredibly grateful, and we are going to put this back into the community. End of year, 4 of the biggest contests, giveaways we've ever done are happening in 2023, and they will equate to about $3,500 in 4 shows, which is amazing. And we can't do that without the generosity of this community, and we can't thank you enough. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I want to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming on. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.